So the next yama is Satya. This term deals with truthfulness. It includes the concept of appropriate communication, conducting your life with honesty in behavior, with thought, and with intention. It is important to assess accurately where you are at on a particular day before doing a difficult pose so that you do not push beyond your physical limit. Behaving in accordance with beliefs might mean that an environmentalist would not take a job with a multinational oil conglomerate, or that a vegetarian would not work for a fast food or burger outlet. Kind of like walking in alignment with our values. Right communication. Satya deals with truthfulness and honesty in behavior and thought. It means refraining from deceptions or making a promise you cannot keep. If you are tempted to tell a white lie, be honest about your motivation. Is it to protect another or because of your inability to face an awkward situation? Lack of truth in any relationship doesn't build a stable foundation. Our task is to approach life with integrity and sincerity. Dedicated to truth and integrity, Satya, our thoughts, words, and actions gain the power to manifest. Satya is a profound virtue espoused by most major traditions as a dedication to the unspoken truth that nestles in our hearts. Through Satya, we embrace the depth of truth that words can only hope to convey. There are many ways to access the truth. The depth of our heart's chasm measures the integrity necessary to approach real truth. The power Shakti of truth is created through the alchemy of personal integrity, knowledge, and humility. Can you feel truth as a physical reaction to the energy that is present long before the mind has captured the words? Tears may fall spontaneously as your heart unfolds, ready to receive. With energy and words that dim truth, you experience a tightening in the body that releases a wash of fear and anxiety. The heart rests when it is in Satya. Our words are so very powerful that we often do not realize the benefits or consequences they bestow on others or ourselves. Although our actions may appear to be benevolent, our words or thoughts may betray us with their expressions. Sometimes we misunderstand the true purpose of Satya. There's a little quote here. It says, "Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary?" Satya, or truth, is the highest rule of conduct or morality. Mahatma Gandhi said, "Truth is God and God is truth. As fire burns impurities and refines gold, so the fire of truth cleanses the yogi and burns up the dross in him. If the mind thinks thoughts of truth, if the tongue speaks words of truth, and if the whole life is based upon truth, then one becomes fit for union with the infinite. Reality in its fundamental nature is love and truth and expresses itself through these two aspects. The yogi's life must conform strictly to these two facets of reality. That is why ahimsa, which is essentially based on love, is enjoined. Satya presupposes perfect truthfulness in thought, word, and deed. Untruthfulness in any form puts the sadhaka, or student, out of harmony and with the fundamental law of truth. Truth is not limited to speech alone. There are 4 sins of speech: abuse and obscenity, dealing in falsehoods, calumny or telling tales, and lastly, ridiculing what others hold to be sacred. The talebearer is more poisonous than a snake. The control of speech leads to the rooting out of malice. When the mind bears malice towards none, it is filled with charity towards all. He who has learnt to control his tongue has attained self-control in a great measure. When such a person speaks, he will be heard with respect and attention. His words will be remembered, for they will be good and true. When one who is established in truth prays with a pure heart, then things he really needs come to him when they are really does not have to run after them. The man firmly established in truth gets the fruit of his actions without apparently doing anything. God, the source of all truth, supplies his needs and looks after his welfare. So we're going to go ahead and take our...
This one was really interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah, not ridiculing what others find sacred and like controlling your word and stuff like that. Because if it's truth, then it should just.
I mean, we can allow them within him, so we can allow them their truth, because their truth is their truth.
Yeah.
And their truth isn't always going to agree with our truth. But we have to be true to our truth too, you know. So mutual respect comes to mind. And it can be easier said than done again. Okay, so the secret of the yamas, it's in a different order. So we're actually going to go to page 57. And who would like to read first? And of course, we're not going to read whole chapters this time. If you guys want to read paragraph, and then we'll move to the next person, and we'll just circle around.
I can start since I didn't go last time.
Okay.
Where do you want me to start? Where do you want me to go?
Page 57.
Right. How far do you want me to read?
Oh, if you just want to do like a paragraph, and then we'll move to the next person. Everybody does a paragraph.
Okay. Truthfulness, or Satya, is the final yama. It's not the final yama.
Right. We did it in different order.
Satya is translated as real, genuine, or honest, and we generally take this yama to mean that we should tell the truth. Telling the truth involves giving an accurate or complete account to others of what has happened or what has been seen, heard, or inferred, as well as accurately communicating one's thoughts, feelings, and intentions to others. Inherent in this understanding is the assumption that we do not twist, alter, or in any way transform the truth to suit our own purposes. Given that assumption, we must first ask, is such truthfulness possible? If we are 100% ready and willing to tell the truth and are immune to consequences, can we even tell the truth?
Which way do you guys want to go?
I can go next. In the first part of truth telling, giving an accurate account of what has happened, we need to examine what we know about what has happened. If you watch the process of perception in yourself, you find that every experience, act, and sensation that comes to your awareness is first filtered through the background of your own conditioning. Experience is interpreted as it happens, and our interpretations are based on our unique system of beliefs, fears, cravings, and anticipations in our past experiences in similar situations. For example, a fearful person walking into a ghetto might instantly perceive the rapid approach of a large stranger as a threat, while the stranger's intent might have been only to ask directions. Or when people in a room are laughing and appear to be looking in our direction, depending on our relationship to them and our current feelings about ourselves, we might perceive them as laughing about us. Somewhere in the process of perception, the might be usually disappears and we store the information as an absolute. They were laughing at me.
We may think that only the paranoid or unbalanced have such twisted perceptions, but we would be wrong. All of us are a bundle of opinions, beliefs, and ideals that tell us what is true in people's intents. We overflow with fear and suspicions that tell us the truth of people's actions. We are full of pride and self-importance that tell us the truth of our own being. Surely telling these truths to others must be secondary to finding out what is fundamentally true ourselves.
We have all known the beauty of love, for example, but invariably we soon begin to feel possessive of our love's object, and the possessiveness leads to jealousy and then to anger, yet we continue to insist that we love. But can possessiveness, jealousy, and anger coexist with love? Certainly not. They're mutually exclusive. The one destroys the other. Love eradicates all personal hatreds and jealousies, and where jealousy or possessiveness exists, love cannot. Yet we still insist to ourselves and to others that we love. But if we look deeply enough, we will find that the root of our supposed love is our individual need for security, contentment, or pleasure, or that it keeps fear or discomfort at bay. We use the object of love as a distraction against the unpleasant, or as a stimulus to pleasure. Cruel words, perhaps, but please don't simply reject them out of hand. Look into yourself, without judgment or condemnation, but with simple observation. It is our condemnation that has originally created this inability to see the truth in ourselves.
We are violent and antagonistic, yet the filter of our perceptions allows us to believe that we are not, either through justification of our principles and ideals or through blindness to our actions. We are envious and jealous, yet we perceive these qualities as ambition or a healthy competitive drive. We are filled with greed for material goods or even spiritual progress, and as we accumulate, we tell ourselves that we are being successful. We divide ourselves from others through vanity or feelings of superiority, and still pretend to be teachers and leaders. We filter everything that we know of ourselves through the sieve of our self-constructed self-image, and we create in our minds similar images of our spouses, children, neighbors, friends, and enemies. In truth, all of our relationships are between our self-made image and the images we construct of other people. These images relate as if they possessed a life and a reality of their own.
It should be clear that telling the truth to another person has little meaning until we first remove this veil of self-deception. It is ourselves we have deceived, and it is ourselves to whom we must first be true.
The question now becomes, how did this self-deception come about, and can we extricate ourselves from the illusions it has created? For if we cannot, then life is indeed a tragedy, certain to continue in suffering and ignorance.
So self-awareness is super helpful. You know, you might have, years ago, might have been like, you know, oh, you hurt my feelings, you, because that's always what we notice first. But then, as you get to know yourself, you might now be able to say, well, when you did that, it triggered this in me, because I have this fear or this insecurity, and that's why I reacted like this. Or, you know, so with more self-awareness, you can start to see things for what they really are and see the truth of things. You might be able to say, you know, you might be able to see that that person triggered that in you, but really they had good intentions. You know, so, but truth, a lot of it is just, you know, we see through our own eyes, and everybody sees through their own individual lens of their life experiences and opinions and things like that in the background. So what you may see, we can look at the same thing and see totally different things. Even though we're looking at the same situation, you know, we can see things totally differently because you might see through your lens and I see through my lens. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So then one can say, well, then what really is truth? Your truth is your truth, and my truth is my truth. And, you know, then you might come to, oh, well, let's agree to disagree. But they say, you know, there's a lot of truths. Like in terms of religion, they all are kind of saying the same truth, but they're saying it differently, or they're saying that their way is the one way, even though they're all saying the same thing. Or there might be little truths, nuggets in all of them, and illusions in all of them, and you kind of got to discern. Discernment's a huge word that is really helpful in today's world. So we've talked about conditioning and programming and, you know, our experiences, our individual experiences, and then we talked about, you know, the truth of, you know, your truth, my truth, you know. But then we can all agree that it comes down to one fundamental truth, and that's we're all one. We all come from the same source, and we all return to the same source. Where that is, we might disagree on, or how that turns out, or what that looks like, whether it's reincarnation or, you know, everybody has their own truth, but that's the one truth that we can kind of agree on, I think.
Yeah, like, what, all of our relationships are between a self-made image, and the image is we construct with other people. It makes me think of like that whole theory that we all live in a simulation. It's like we do, but it's a simulation of our own making. Yeah.
There's like 7 billion simulations running around.
Yeah.
I heard like how like everybody is a mirror of yourself. That's what that made me think of.
Yeah, like the
So,
full agreements, the Toltec indigenous tribes. Like I'm just here as a reflection for you.
Like one of my
This is all about you. Your dream. This is your dream.
Yeah, like
You're
one
the
of my
only one
favorite
that's
theories.
real.
Yeah, is that we all kind of came from like a God wanted to experience everything, so he broke himself up into everyone. So everyone is God living the life that somebody else might have. So we're like you are me and I am you, just on a different. You're on a different journey at the same time, and we're all like the same one living at the same time. Yeah. Like that. We just don't.
I think
we
it was
can't
like
see
an
that.
octopus. Like God is the octopus, and we're all just little tentacles, but on a bigger mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we'll do the journal questions for Satya.
You go home and you're like, can I see that as an octopus?
When I saw that analogy.
God is a woman is so last year. It's now God's octopus.
Yeah, this way.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm reading a book right now. It refers to it as the prime creator, and then there's gods with lower G's. So when you think about Kali and Durga, these, or the Greek gods, Zeus, and there were all these gods with lower G, lower G gods, and then there was the prime creator, and then we're gods and goddesses, because we have the ability to create our reality. Anyway, okay, so sorry. I can talk about that some all day long. First one is, think of at least 3 ways you are true to yourself. This one's a little more trickier. List at least 3 ways you honor others with your truth. 3 ways you honor others with your truth. don't you walk your talk? In what ways are your actions inconsistent with your speech? I'll repeat it. When don't you walk your talk? In what ways are your actions inconsistent with your speech? In what situations or relationships are you not true to yourself? Describe an instance in which you vented your truth inappropriately. How might you have communicated your truth more appropriately? And I'll say it again because it's so long. Describe an instance in which you vented your truth inappropriately. How might you have communicated your truth more appropriately? For anyone in your life with whom you have withheld or have incomplete communication, decide whether or not it is appropriate for you to communicate it now. Either talk to the person, discuss it with someone else, or write about it. One way to complete it is to write a letter to the person and decide afterwards whether or not you choose to send the letter. And this is something you can do later. If you want to jot down this idea or this little activity, you can If there's someone that you've withheld information or have incomplete communication, you can write them a letter and then decide whether you're going to give it to them or you just want to throw it away or burn it or whatever. And then the next one is list at least 3 ways you can be more true to yourself. Ways you can be more true to yourself. And the very last one is list at least 3 ways you can be more truthful to others. 3 ways you can be more truthful to others.